Alright, so as I said, in this video, we're going to look at math 1110, so 1100. So 1100 tutorial sheet 1, of which we looked at question 17 yesterday, then we'll continue today from question 18. And it says evaluate the following powers, and we have that for 1, we have I to the power 8. So how do we evaluate this? In order to evaluate these forms here, which we have here, we must understand that we're dealing with what? With complex numbers, or the imaginary number I here. So the imaginary number I is just, this just represents the root of -1. So which means that I squared is going to equal to -1, because when we square this here, that will cancel out, then we square the other side, we just have I squared, and that will give us -1. So these two are what will help us to understand or to be able to solve whatever we're going to solve here, especially to understand that I squared is equal to -1. So now we have we have I raised to the power 8. How are we going to simplify this? So you see that you can write this as I squared to the power 4, because when the 4 multiplies with the 2 there, it gives us 8. So now this here is going to be equal to, where there's I squared, we can replace -1 raised to the power 4. So any negative number raised to an even power is going to give you a positive value. So this here will give you +1, and that's how you solve the first one. Okay, then let's continue with the second one. You have I raised to the power 11. So I raised to the power 11, how can I write this? So this implies that I can write this because I know that when it comes to powers or to indices, they just have the same base and they are just adding the powers. So if I write I like this, then I write another I raised to the power of 10 like this. Of course, I know that this is just I to the power 11, because when I keep the base of I, then I add the 1 plus the 10, it will give me what? It will give me 11. So from here, I can now rewrite this I part. Of course, this I to the power 10 part as I squared to the power 5. Because when I square this, it gives me what? +5. Then I have I here, I multiplied by, so where there's I squared, I replace -1 to the power 5. Then I'm going to get that I multiplied by negative. So this -1 to the power 5, it's an odd power. So an odd power always gives you a negative value. So you just get I multiplied by -1. When you multiply this, you just get negative I. So that's how you simplify this. Okay, so if you have any question along the way, feel free to ask. Don't type in the chat, I'll not see that. So just ask. Then have I to the power 42 like this. Then I to the power 42, how can I work out this? So this one again, if I divide this by 2, you see, if I divide the power by 2, where I write I squared to the power, so when I divide that by 2, I just get 21 here. And this is going to give me -1, and raise to the power 21. So 21 is an odd power, and that odd power, when I raise any number negative value to an odd power, it gives me negative value. So this will give me -1. That's what you get. Then the last one here, the last one just says 105. So you have I raised to 105. So you can separate this as I multiplied by I to the power 104. Then this is going to be I multiplied by, so 104 divided by 2. What do I get when I divide 104 by 2? What am I getting there? So you get this, right? You get 52. So 52 now, this, how are we going to simplify? That's when we divide by 2. So meaning here we can write this as I squared to the power 52, as we said. And this is just going to be I multiplied by negative I to the power 52. This is even, so this will give us positive 1, and you get multiplied by 1. 1 by I just gives us I. So this simplifies to I. All right, I don't know if there are any questions here. Okay, no questions. We move on to the next part. The next part we have write the following complex numbers in the form a plus bi. So we want to get to the form a plus bi. How are we going to do that? We know that I is just the imaginary number and a and b are just what? Real numbers. So we have to simplify that such that we are able to get to this form. So when we look at this, we have 3, the first one, we have 3 to the power 5, okay, minus I to the power 4 plus 7I cubed minus 10I squared minus 9. So how do I simplify this? So I'll start with 3. So here where there's I can write this as I. Then I know where there's that I can say multiplied by. Then I can write this as I to the power 4, which is just the same, give me I to the 5. Then here I can go directly. Okay, let me just rewrite everything first. Write I to the power 4 plus 7. Here I can write as I by I squared like this. Then I have minus 10 I squared minus 9. Now I can replace wherever there's I squared with negative 1. Then I have I here. So this I see that I can replace negative 1. Then that would be squared there. Then I'll have the next one also will just be negative 1 squared like this. Then I'll have that other one, there's going to be plus 7I. Then here, just replace with negative 1. Then you have negative 10, then that will be negative 1, then that will be 9. So when you multiply that, you just get, this will give you positive, and you have 3I. Then the other one, this will give you positive as well, positive 1, but you multiply with a negative, you get negative 1. This here gives you negative 7I like that. Then this here gives you positive 10 minus 9. So let's work out this. So you see that you can add this and that gives you negative 10. Then meaning negative 10 plus that positive 10 gives you 0. And you just remain with 3I minus. Okay, hope we've done this right. 3I minus what? I. And of course, this 3I minus I, we can easily we can easily work out this as well. And this here is going to give us negative 4I. So it's reduced to that form, but they want us to write it in the form a plus bi. So now, what is this here, our value of a? So we can see from this equation that the value of a there is just going to go out to be 0. So you write this is going to be equal to 0 plus, then okay, which is, we have a minus sign there. So this will be minus 4I like this. And that's what you get here. Is there any question on this one? Okay, don't feel shy to ask. Just ask. Yeah, if you're behind, just ask. There's no problem. There's no problem with asking. Okay, since there's no question, let's move on to that other part. So, what am I going to get for the next one? So for the next one, I have that. So it's 5 over I like this plus 2 over 3 over I to the power 3, then minus 20 over I to the power 18. Should be this question was in last year's paper. So if I remember rightly, yeah. So pay attention to the tutorial sheets because some of the questions come from the tutorial sheets. So yeah, here I can write this as 5I. Then I can simplify this. Here I know this will give me 2. Then I'll get I there. Then I know there's an I squared here. So that I squared is just going to be what? Negative 1. Then minus 20. Here I'm going to get I squared to the power 9, which is just going to give me negative 1. Then it's raised to an odd power, so that will give me just negative 1. So I can write this as 5I. Here this will be plus, so it becomes minus because of this negative sign here. When I multiply that out, I get negative, then here I get I like that. Then down here, you observe you have 20, so 20 like this. Here, the I squared is negative 1. Negative 1 raised to the power 9, that will give you what? A negative value. And here you divide, so meaning you're dividing negative 1, just dividing negative 1 divided into this negative 20, and that gives you positive 20. So this will give us positive 20. So we can work out this. So observe that you can actually work out these two that are here. So when you work out those two, you just have, since they have the same base, so I can subtract the numerator and keep the base. So 5 minus 2 gives me 3. Then I have I there. Then I have plus 20. So now, how am I going to finish up this? Okay, so if I try to make this into a single fraction, you see that getting the common denominator, which is 3, I mean, then you have 3 there, then you have plus 20i. So having this, but now I want to get to this form. So what do? I have to rationalize here. To rationalize, I multiply with the conjugate of I, which is going to be negative I. So, yeah, when I multiply with the conjugate of I, which is negative I, so that I have negative I there and negative I there, then you see that here what I'm going to have when I multiply, I get negative 3i, then the other one gives me negative 20i squared, then down there I get negative I squared. So where there's negative I squared here, when I replace the negative, when I replace negative 1, I get positive 1. So, okay, let me just replace that such that you're able to see. So that will be 3i minus 20. Here I replace also negative 1. Then there I get negative 1 like this. And of course, this simplifies to, you just have your positive 20. So I can write my 20 like that. Then I'll have minus 3i and divided by 1. And this here just gives me 20 minus 3i, which is the form which they're asking for in the question like that. All right. If there are no questions, move on to the next part. So the next one also requires us to simplify. So how are we going to do this one? So we have 6i to mean 2 to the power 2i to the power 6 plus then you have 2 over I like that raised to the power 3. Then you have plus that's 5. Then I to the negative 5. Then you have plus 2 of I. So how are you going to work out this? So see now where there is this I, you can write 2 there as, then you say I squared, then you multiply by 3. This gives you 6, which is there. Is that a question? Okay. The question? All right. So this is no question. So then, with this one, how do I then work out this one? Again, these 3 I can distribute. Then I just get that I'm going to have, so 2 to the power 3. What do I get? So 2 to the power 3 gives me what? Gives me 8. Then I have I to the power 3 here come. Then I have plus. Observe that I can just write my 5 there. Then my I to the negative 5 is the same as saying 1 over I to the power 5. Then you have negative what? 12i like that. So I can simplify this further on to see that I, okay, where there's negative, where there's I squared, I replace the negative 1. Then I get 3. Then plus, you see 8. Here you have I and the I squared, so meaning you get negative what? I here. I'm sure everybody knows where this negative I by now is coming from. Then here you have, so you have I, and then, okay, so you have I, then you have I to the power what? To the power 4. But I to the power 4 is just a positive I. So I to the power 4 is just going to be positive 1, I mean. Then you just get this will be I. So you just remain with what? With I down there. So this here is going to give you I like this. Then okay, after getting I, what am I gonna do with the next one? I have 12 I like that. So I have I's here, okay? So that's good. Can divide this I here. Of course, let me multiply this. So I to the negative, here gives me a negative I. I mean I to the odd power 3 gives me negative 1. Then I will just have negative 2 there. This divides into that, then that gives me negative I over I, negative 8 over I plus 5 over what? 5 over I. Then you have 12 over I like this. Okay, from here, You can add these two here since they have the same base. Add the negative 8 plus 5, and you just get this will be 2. Add those, you get negative 3 over what? Over I. Then you have negative 12i like this. Okay, from here, I can just simplify by trying to make or making this into a single fraction. And you see that the common denominator is just what? Is just I. So here it's 1, there it's 1. Then here 1 there, I gives me negative 2i. There I just get negative 3. There gives me 1 I mean, then you multiply, you just get negative 4i squared. Then this here means it's going to give me negative 2i like that. Then you have this I squared becomes negative 1. The negative 1 multiplied by that gives us a positive. So you have this would be positive 12. So I can add this part, of course, divided by I. Can add this, so I can add this part. So when I add this part, just get 2i like that. Then this here gives me that to be plus 9. Then I have it over what? Over I. Of course, you can say that you're dividing I into there, I into there, but then you want it in the form where you have your what? You have that variable with the I like that. So the I has to be in the numerator. So from here, what you have to rationalize that denominator, and you rationalize it by what? By multiplying by its conjugate, which is going to be negative what? Negative I. So you multiply negative I in the numerator and in the denominator. So you just get negative I there, negative I there. Then when you multiply that, you're just going to have, down you have 1. Then on top, you're going to get, that is going to give you 2i squared like that. Then you get negative 9i like that. And this here is going to just simplify to where there is I squared, you put negative 1, and you get negative 2 minus 9i like this. And this then simplifies to the lowest form which we have. And of course, you can see that you have your powers there and the other one that side there. Okay, so you can see this, that if we, okay, yeah, so this is how you get to that form. I don't know if there's any question here. Do I have any question? Okay, so there's no question. So since there's no question, then we've solved this one. Yes? Mm-hmm. Go on.
Hello?
Yes, go on.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, so I've got a question on this part, on this top right part where there's 2 over 1. How come there down it is written negative 2i? Where is the I coming from?
Okay, where here you're saying this part where we have the negative 2i, this one here. Right,
Yes,
John,
where,
asking.
where is the I coming from? Because the top part it is, yes.
So you're asking where the I is coming from?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so where the I is coming from. So observe here, we got negative 2, negative 3, negative 12i. Yeah, so after getting those, what then did we do? From here, let me just kind of bring back what I raised. Okay, I'd raised that far. Okay, so that can come back. Okay, so what we got here. So after getting the negative 3, so we got, let me just use different color. So when we got negative 2, negative 3 there over I like this, and we get negative 12i. So we're trying to solve this to make this into like a single fraction. This is over 1 and that's over 1. So the common denominator there is going to be I. So that divided into there, you get I, then you get that to be negative 2i. So you see where the I is coming from here.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, all right. So that's where it's coming from. We're just making it into a single fraction there. Yeah. Okay. So this is where what we get here, and this is where this question finishes from. Then we have these questions here. Okay. So basically, the whole questions have the same concept, and yeah. To get to this form here, to get to that form, I think we won't do all the questions here because of time. I want us to cover even some other questions. So, uh, what do we actually do here? So let's look at this one here. We have 3i plus 1 over 2 what's 2 minus I. So to get to that form there, wherever I have a fraction like this, then they tell you to get to this form. Just know that you have to what rationalize the denominator, and you only rationalize by what by multiplying by the conjugate in the numerator and in the denominator. So here I can get this 1 over 2i separately like this, then I multiply by its conjugate. So the conjugate just has a different sign in between there. So if because this one has positive, the conjugate to have, has negative, the conjugate to have a positive I. Then this will have 2 plus I like that. Then I multiply this and you just get 2 plus I on top, and down there you get, so down there what you're just doing actually is when you multiply by that, then okay, so it's just squaring, you're more squaring this, then the other thing that you're squaring here, so this will be just plus, you can see, get plus, then you're squaring of when you multiply this I and I squared. So maybe if you, let me do it out such that you see I minus I, then you have 2 plus I like this. So you multiply this there, you get 4. Multiply the 2 by the I, you get 2I. Multiply this by there, you get negative I like that. Then you multiply those two, you get negative I squared. And of course, we know negative I squared, this is just negative 1. Then this here is going to give you what? This here is going to give you negative 1 like that. Then you can replace that, and then you just end up with this here cancelling, and you have 4, then minus the I there which is there. So this here can be written always even. So if you say we're squaring that, then you say minus, then you also say you're squaring what? Your I like that. And of course, when you get that there, you have 2 plus I, then that is going to give you 4. You square that, you get negative 1. Negative 1 by negative 1 gives you what? Positive 1. And you get this here. And you see that this here is just going to be equal to what? This is it. It's going to be 2 plus I divided by 5. Then this here, you divide 2 divided by 5. Then you have 1 over 5, then I like that. This is what you kind of get here. Now, observe that you had the first part. So we join them now. We join it plus the first part. So, in fact, we can even get it from where and what? From this part here. So we say where we say 3i, then we get it from that part where we had plus 2 plus I like this over what? Over 5. Then this is over 1. So you make this into a single fraction. 5 divide into there, you get 1. 1 by, 5 by the 3i there, you get what? 15i. Then this there gives you 1. 1 gives you the rest of what you have there. So this will be plus I like this. Then you can add this and you see that you just get 16. So you get 16i like that plus 2 over 5. Then after getting that, what does that amount to? So when you divide there, you just get 2 over 5. Then you get the other one, which will be plus, that will be just plus 16 over what? 5i. 16 over 5i. And that is the form a plus ib, because I can see the I there, which is 16 over 5. That's for b, 16 over 5, and the a, that's 2 over 5. Okay, so this is what you get here, and you do the rest actually for the remaining parts. Unless there are any questions here or somebody wants us to do a specific one here, but this is just the general way of how to look at this. Is there any question? All right, since there's no question, meaning everybody's clear, we can move on to the next set of questions, which is this. And saying find the modulus of the following. What's his complex numbers? Find the modulus of the following complex numbers. So yeah, for this one, you must note that when you put it, so let's say if z is a complex number, and the complex number z is equal to, let's say it's equal to x plus yi. So I can see that these are my real numbers, and of course this with the I is the imaginary number. So when I say z, modulus of z is, this is defined as the square root of x squared plus y squared. So now to find the modulus of all this, we need to get to this such a form here. So for the first one, you see you have I minus I like this. Okay, this looks like a mistake. I minus I is going to give you 0. We all know that. So it should be I minus, one of them should be 1s here. Yeah, but instead of troubling ourselves, we can skip it and just use these other ones here. So let's use 2, right? So for 2 here we have 2 minus I, then you have minus 4, 1 plus 1 over what? 4I. So working out this, you just get this is 2 minus I, like this. Then this side you multiply your 4, you get negative 4, then multiply it here, you see that you get negative. So this one and this one will cancel. Then you just have negative I that is going to remain. Of course, you have 2 minus I, then you can group the minus I here, then negative 4 there, like that, such that this here is just going to give you negative 2, negative 2 what? 2I. And from here, we can now what? We can now work this out. So how do we then work this out? So we're saying you get the modulus of this. So saying modulus of 2 minus 2I, like this. In fact, you observe that when we're dealing with modulus, we can factor out this negative here. Then we have positive I like this. And this is the same as modulus of negative 1 and modulus of 2 plus 2I. Of course, this here gives you positive 1, and you just remain with modulus of 2 plus 2I. So if the video cuts, just if it cuts, just rejoin using the same name. So after getting this, we can now bring it to this form here. So that form here, I can see that my x is here and my y is there. Then I just square those. So I have x 2 squared plus 2 squared. And this here is going to give me what? This gives me 4 plus 4. Then I have this is going to be equal to the root of what? This is going to be equal to root of 8. So root of 8, can I simplify root of 8 further on? I can, of course, because that is just 2 multiplied by what? By 4. And 2 multiplied by 4, so you have root of 2 times 4, and this here gives you 2 root 2. That's what you get. So final answer 2 root 2. So that's what you get. I don't know if there's any question here, but this is how you work out this. Any question? All right, there's no question. So you can do the rest, which is this one, which is just remaining. Just hint, begin by rationalizing the denominator. Then after you get your complex number in the form a plus bi, then that's when you'll be able to watch to put it in the modulus like that. Okay, so let z be equal to this and express the following quantities in terms of x and y. So they want us to express this in terms of x and y. What are we going to do for that? They've already given us what z is. So we say a modulus of, so you can replace where what z is there. So z is just x, then plus I, y there. Then you have minus I, minus 3I like that. Then you have squared. So this here, I can group these like terms. So this negative I and the I squared here. Negative I here, I mean, this gives me negative what? Negative 4I. As you can see, this here gives me negative 4I. Then I can add that remaining part. So you have x then you have that other part, so you can factor out in fact. So when you see you have plus I like this, plus I minus 4I, then you're squaring this. Then of course this here is just you can factor out that I, then you see that you remain with plus this will be y minus 4, then I here like this, then you're squaring. So this is already put in a modulus and it's a complex number. So we can then work out this to see that this is going to be, so your x is x, so it will be x squared, and your y is this entire thing here. So you square that to be plus y minus 4. This is going to be squared. Then, of course, you have another squared outside, which is this one here. Then you can cancel that and cancel that, and this is going to be equal to x squared plus, then you have, that will be y minus 4 squared. Then now you can expand this to be y squared, x squared plus, that will be y squared minus, that gives you negative y, then you get plus 16. So you've expressed it in the form of x and y, since you have these variables there, and you cannot go on further here simplifying. So you just stop there. Okay, so you do the next one. Okay, so the next one just says we say modulus of z plus 5z bar. So where you see the z bar is just the conjugate of z. So if z is equal to x minus iy plus iy, then z bar is going to be x minus iy. So where the z, we place x plus iy, then where there is z bar, we replace x minus iy. We close there. And this here is just going to be x plus iy. You multiply there, you get plus 5x, then you get negative 5yi, like that. Then this here, you can add these two, you get 6x, then you add this and that there, you see that you just get yourself to negative 4yi, like this. So from here, you can rewrite this to say this is going to be equal to, so you have that your complex number has the real part here, the imaginary part there. So you square what? You square this side, including that negative side there. So this is going to be just 6x squared, then you have plus, then your y there is going to be, what are we going to get there? So we're going to get negative 4, then you have your what? Your y, then you square that. Okay, and this here is going to just give us, okay, this gives us, you square this part here, you just get, this will be 36x squared, then there you have plus, that would be 16y squared. Okay, so you have this here, and okay, you ask yourself, can you go further simplifying this? Of course, you cannot. So it just remains here because it's an expression and not an equation. Unless if it was an equation, we would have what? Squared both sides. So this thing just remains what remains here, and this will be your answer. Okay, don't know if there are any questions. All right, there's nothing. So we finish up this question here. This question says where x and y are real numbers, so for x and y. So how do I solve for x and y? So 2 plus iy like this. Then I have x plus I. Then this is equal to 1 plus 3i. So what you do is you expand first. So you have 2x here. Then you have 2i like that. Then you have that there will be plus x y. Of course, your I is there. Then you also have the other one. Then you multiply, that gives you I squared, which is just going to be negative. So you get negative y like that. So you get y squared. Yes, you get negative y, and this will be equal to 1 plus 3i. Okay, so what do we do next? So you can say 2x, you bring 2x minus that, then you have the other part, which is plus 2i. So 2i, here I can factor out the i. So if I can factor out the I can have 2. Then this here is going to be plus x, y. Okay, that will be plus x, y. Then the what the I outside, then this is gonna be plus 1, 2, I, like that. Okay, so from here, I can now group these or equate these to each other. So I have to equate this real part to the real part there and the imaginary part to the imaginary part. Of course, minus that, uh, minus the I for that one. So what I mean is you have 3 minus y equal to 1. So you have this here, and one you can write it in terms of x or in terms of y. Okay, so we'll get back to that one. Then we have 2 here plus x, y, then this should be equal to 3 there, like that. So now, what do I do for this one? Okay, so I can say if I take 2 the other side, I just have, that's gonna be -2, then that subtracts, and you have xy equal to -1, no, +1. Then you can divide this by x and divide that by x. So you have your y equal to 1 over what? 1 over x. So from here, where there is y, you can replace that. So you have 2x, then you have minus, replace there, you have 1 over what? X equal to 1. And of course, this here, you observe that this is just going to be over x. There gives you 2x squared. Then that will be minus 1, and this will be equal to 1. Then what are we going to do from there? You have 2x squared minus 1 equal to what? To x here 1. Cross multiply, just get x squared minus 1 equal to what? To x. And there you just